Hi everybody, Mark Dyer from Squaw Valley and Alpine Meadows Ski Team Performance here to talk today about a proper dynamic warm-up for athletes and coaches alike. First thing in a dynamic warm-up is making sure that we're choosing appropriate terrain that's flat and has enough space for all your athletes and coaches to perform these exercises. For our dynamic warm-up, I always like to start from the ground and work my way up into movements. So we start with core activity first in the tall plank position. The tall plank position is similar to a push-up position. Have your athletes get on the ground and into the push-up position, and we want to focus on keeping level hips and our lower back flat like a board. Some cues on this one are keeping a tight tummy and keeping the back flat like a board. We want to make sure our athletes don't push their hips too high into the air or sag them too low to the ground. We want nice level hips throughout this entire movement. We want to do this for 20 to 30 seconds depending on your group and age level as well. Once we're done with the tall planks, we move on to plank jacks. Plank jacks are some lower body movement in the tall plank position. So in tall plank, we would then kick out right and left leg, keeping a strong engaged core with those same cues from the tall plank position. Moving our right and left leg out, tapping the toes, and bringing them back to center. After 20 to 30 seconds of plank jacks, we then move to some upper body movement with the tall plank. So similar to the plank jack, we then move our arms out to the sides, right to left, alternating the upper body. Again, 20 to 30 seconds on the upper body movement in the tall plank position. After our core work, we then start to work our way up the body. We then move into a lunge and reach. We start tall and have your athletes step out into a lunge and reach their arms in the opposite direction of the way they're lunging. So they'll lunge out with their right and reach to the left, and lunge out with their left and reach to their right. You want a slow and controlled tempo on this one and have them focus on making really long lunges to really stretch out their hips. I like to do this exercise 5 to 8 on each leg. After the lunge and reach, we then move to a squat and twist. You'll have your athletes start in the tall position, squat by moving their hips back, hands in front, and then they are going to twist to the opposite side. So they will bring their right elbow to their left knee and their left elbow to their right knee. Again, we want to make sure that they're doing these twists slow and controlled, and that they're popping all the way back up after one twist. They're coming back to the tall position, dropping into their squat, and twisting to the opposite side, coming back into the tall position. Again, this is one I like to do 5 to 8 each side. After the squat and twist, we then go to knee drivers with a side lunge. This is one where you can really focus on having your athletes work on a tall position in their upper body as they drop into the side lunge. So you start in a tall position with their knee flexed and they drop into the side lunge. So the right knee drives up and then they drop the foot and follow the hip into a side lunge. This is one where you can go at a fast or slow tempo depending on your group, and one that we do 5 to 8 each side as well. Some cues on this one are think about dropping your hip to your heel and keeping your upper body tall as your hips drop low. You'll see some athletes drop their chest instead of move their hips back, so keep an eye out for that upper body staying tall as they drop into the side lunge. After our squat and lunges, I then like to go to some hip rotation. So this one is the hip step over. You have the athlete stay in their tall position with their shoulders and hips square, and then they take their right leg first and step over a big hurdle, invisible hurdle, and step back, all while moving just from the femur and the hip. You want to make sure that you're not seeing excessive rotation of the upper body and that they're just rotating from their leg to get over, stepping over that big invisible hurdle. Again, this is one where we step over, tap the heel, bring it back. That is 1 rep. This is one that I also like to do 5 to 8 reps each side. After some bigger rotations of the hip, I then go into a more controlled hip rotation. This is called a straight leg in and out rotation. So you'll have your athletes balance on one leg, they will kick the other leg out and lock the knee out is the cue on this one, so their leg is completely straight. Balancing on the one leg with their leg completely locked out in front of them, have them turn their big toe in and have them turn their big toe all the way out. Again, this is a lot finer control of that internal and external hip rotation, so make sure that you're looking for excessive rotation of the upper body and making sure that they're just moving from the lower limb and then that they're not compensating with the upper body to achieve these ranges of motion. Again, 1 big toe in and 1 big toe out is 1 rep. I do 5 to 8 reps each side on this one. This also throws some balance work in there for them as well. After some hip rotation, I move on to a more challenging single leg movement, which are known as candlesticks or straight leg kickouts. Have your athlete balance in a tall position. They're going to kick one heel straight back as they hinge from the hips, and then they're going to follow through and kick that foot all the way in front of them. Again, you want to make sure that they're keeping a tall upper body all the way through this position when they hinge back and when they kick up. So they're not just collapsing at the chest, but they're actively driving the hips back when they're reaching that heel to the sky and actively staying tall as they kick that leg all the way through. Again, this is one that I like to do 5 to 8 each side. After we're all done with our dynamic movements, I go into a faster pace activation. So what we're going to do now are I call stars to race tuck. You have your athletes start wide with their hands and their feet out, and they drop into their race tuck fast. So their feet are out wide, hands are out wide, and then they pull their hands and feet together into their low tuck quickly. Again, this is a very fast-paced and active movement, so encourage your athletes to do this fast and quick, going out wide and dropping in low. Again, I do this one for 20 to 30 seconds. After the stars to race tucks, I work on some hopping skills. So have your athletes draw a line in the snow with their boot, and then we're going to work on lateral hops. So you have your athlete keep their knees and feet together, and have your athlete jump side to side for 10 to 20 seconds. Then we go into a forward to back hop, same cues, knees and feet together for 20 to 30 seconds. And then we go into a staggered stance hop, where we have our left foot in front of our right, and we actively switch right to left rapidly for 20 to 30 seconds. I do this in a sequence, so you do lateral hops first, forward to back hops second, then staggered hops third. All 10 to 20 seconds depending on your group and age level in a fast-paced motion. This really gets the heart rate up and is a good one to finish on. Again, this is a good one. You can make these hops as fast and controlled or as big and explosive as you want. You can switch it up on them week to week to keep things interesting with your hops. After you're done with their activation, I always like to end on a quick reaction game. So this one is called glove in the middle. You have one of the athletes put the glove in the middle, then they take 3 to 4 boot steps back, and then you have them get into their strong athletic positions. Then you call out head, shoulders, hips, knees, and toes, and actively change the call between all of those movements. And then, when you're ready, call glove, and they all go for the glove. Make sure your athletes all have helmets on for this one because it can get a little rowdy sometimes. But again, the biggest thing to make sure is that they're staying in their athletic position. You will slowly see your athletes sink lower and lower to the glove to try to get it first, but reinforce that strong athletic position and those quick movements between each of those body positions. Again, this is a really fun one to end on to get everybody going and ready to get on the hill. And that is the end of the dynamic warm-up. Remember, the dynamic warm-up is also a great chance to analyze how your athletes move and what positions they're capable of getting into. This will give you a strong idea of what they can do on the hill. So take these warm-ups as a chance to view your athletes and what they're capable of physically, and that'll give you a sense of what you can progress on the hill as well. Thank you so much for viewing the dynamic warm-up from the Ski Team Performance Center, and we'll see you out on the hill.